Hello, this is Chris from the Cinema Savvy Movie Podcast, back with a brand new reaction video today. Man, I am still in Star Wars mode. After that second Rogue One trailer came out, I just wanted to jump on and do another reaction to something Star Wars related, and this one has been out for quite some time. This came out July the 15th. This was day one of Celebration, and I'm going to go much more into my Celebration story with this particular video after I've watched the video. That being said, this will be my fourth time watching this video, so it's not a first time reaction. Unfortunately, I couldn't film my reaction at Celebration because they had a no cameras policy, but this one's been requested, and as I said, Star Wars mode. This was one I had to jump on and do because there's a lot of awesome footage in here, and it's going to be kind of interesting as well talking about this one after the new trailers come out. So this is the Rogue One, a Star Wars Story Celebration reel. We're going to watch it together. I'm going to talk much more about it afterwards, even though I've already seen it before, but it'll be cool to watch it again. So I'm going to click play now. Can't beat slow piano music.
It's like the fantasy you always have as a kid. Everywhere is an amazing shot and amazing characters.
It's like the Forlorn robot from Empire.
It's about the humanity of it, which just makes the whole thing so real.
Ready, and action!
Your heart's beating and you're actually in this situation. You get something very genuine that you couldn't have planned.
Just sort of taking it in, guys. Just taking it
We
in.
actually compose shots that if we were on a green screen set, you just wouldn't have known were available.
I love how in these reels they keep bringing that up about
We're
green
making a
screen.
film that's right, touching my favourite movie of all time. But then if you're too respectful of it, that you dare do anything new or different, take a risk.
Force
Then what are you
Awakens,
bringing to the table?
right here. It was too safe. That shot brought the house down. This looks so good. That big floppy disk drive she's carrying, the hard drive.
X-Wing, kills the attack down there! Bang!
That Wampa looking thing looks awesome.
I mean, this is really where a film crew like this really comes into their own.
Guys, it's like Platoon, but Star
When you were 4
Wars.
years old, grew up with Star Wars figures. It's a bit like just being that kid again. You sort of go like, "Arr, arr, arr."
Explosions to make Michael Bay envious.
May the Force be with us.
Slightly cringe-worthy line, but I'll accept it because it's Star Wars. Oh, Rogue One. A Star Wars story. Fuck
We have
yes.
a mission for you.
Right, let's talk about this trailer. So first, before I go into like details in the video and things I like the look of in this, I kind of want to go over the story of actually watching this. And if anyone's watched, I think it's my day one video of a Star Wars Celebration, which you can find out in our old videos. I talk about this story there, but for anyone who hasn't watched it, I'll go over it briefly. So day one, if you wanted to get into the main panel of Rogue One where they showed this reel, you had to queue overnight to get a wristband, and that would get you into the main celebration hall so you could see all the cast come out in the actual hall. Unfortunately, I didn't queue up overnight, so we got wristbands to go to a live stream of the event, which was in a separate hall, and they had like this big cinema screen up and it was played directly live. And they said, right, we've got a special reel we've put together behind the scenes, and we're going to screen it for the first time now. This will be going up on the internet later today. So we all got to watch it, and this one, and it was fantastic. Brought the house down. Everyone loved it. It was insane. So they started bringing out the main cast like Felicity Jones, Mads Mikkelsen, Forrest Whitaker, everything like that. And then Ben Mendelsohn comes out, who's playing the villain, Orson Krennic. And he came out in full costume at first and with a couple of stormtroopers, then he went off screen, and then he came back out later on sat down, he was talking about the character, and then he says, right, now we've got a second reel to show you. We've got a second sizzle reel. So we were like, oh, great, another one. Like, maybe this is going to be like the trailer that's been rumoured and things like that. And they played this video again a second time, and this was in like the space of about 10 minutes, bear in mind. So you kind of like, oh, well, we just watched this, but, you know, there was a lot to take in. There was a lot of new aliens. There was a lot of new shots and things like that. It would be cool to see it a second time just to sort of, like, take it in. Anyone who knows all the reactions I do to Star Wars for, like, the main trailers, I always watch them twice. So we watched that, and then the stream continued, and then it got to the third stage where I think Kathleen Kennedy said, right, now we're going to show off the trailer. And we were all hyped as hell. The screen went dark. And this reel played for a third time. And it was when it was playing for the third time, I was thinking that the people in the main hall that have queued, they're getting the trailer right now, and we're not. I was under the impression, it being a live stream, I thought we were going to get everything that everyone in the main hall was, but we just weren't seeing it in person. We were seeing it on a screen. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way. So by the time this video played for a third time, I was ready to just walk out. I was bored of the video. I was like, I've seen it. The hype's over. The hype was up here, watching it for the first time, the second time, and now you play it for the third time in the span of like half hour. It's boring. So that's another reason why I kind of held off for so long doing a reaction on this one, because it wasn't fresh anymore, but it was kind of cool seeing it again this time. So I'll just go into the video now and talk about bits that sort of interest me and things like that. First off, Gareth Edwards directing. I haven't seen his first film. I think it was his second one, but it was his first sort of one that got him recognition, which was Monsters. I haven't watched that. I did see the 2014 Godzilla film, and I hated that movie. It's the same criticisms that everyone brings up. Bryan Cranston should have been the main character all the way through. Godzilla wasn't in it enough. They kept him in the shadows too much. They built him up really effectively, but then just didn't deliver on anything. But one thing that was great in that film was the sense of scale, and you really got that impression that Godzilla was a force of nature. It was huge. And that's what we've got from at least the second trailer. I mean, this came out before the second trailer, but now I've seen that. That kind of reinforces what I've been seeing from this. The sense of scale in this movie is huge. Just the huge sweeping planet shots and the shots of the Star Destroyer against the Death Star and things like that. In the battle scenes with ground troops and the camera pans up with AT-ATs, you really get that sense of scale and the sense of battle and like ground troops and ground warfare, which is something we haven't really had in Star Wars before. And Gareth Edwards looks like he's the perfect director to do it. And we talked about this a bit with like Force Awakens with J.J. Abrams, but we are now in the generation where Star Wars fans are directing Star Wars films, which is really interesting. It could go either way. Like for J.J. Abrams, I'm not sure how much of this was the actual studio and the scriptwriters and Disney bearing down on them, but it was a very safe film. It was too much of a nostalgia trip rather than being a film on its own. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but that's how I felt with Force Awakens. I really didn't care for that film too much because it felt too safe, it felt too scared to take chances. And then I've mentioned with this one as well, although we ultimately know the outcome of it, we know what happens to the Death Star plans, we've all seen the original Star Wars, and we know how the story ultimately unfolds all the way to Episode 7. There's a lot we still don't know about this film. They've still very much kept all their characters in the shadows. We don't know much about them or about their pasts. And ultimately what happens to them at the end of this film. Like, will they all die? Will Krennic die? Will Felicity Jones's character die? Or will they still live and carry on and run parallel to the Star Wars universe? So there's still a lot we don't know about it. And with Gareth Edwards directing, he looks like he's having so much fun on this film. Like, you see that in the shot in this where they're filming at the Maldives, and he's like all the crew and everything are like, X-Wings, 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 explosions, there's an explosion there, and then he's like tracking the camera, and they're loving it. And hearing him on stage when he was talking about this and talking about the filmmaking process, you could tell it was in safe hands. He absolutely loves this property. He grew up playing Star Wars, and he says it was like a dream come true. Seeing people in Stormtrooper costumes when you're a kid, and you have to imagine that yourself, but then when you're on the film set and you're a director and you're seeing that stuff really happening in front of you, it has to be insane. I mean, I would have given anything to have been on this film set. It is kind of surreal, though, seeing the Stormtroopers in broad daylight on the beach, wading through the clear waters of the Maldives. It kind of reminds me of, like, they're one step away from about to play volleyball and playing with the boys from Top Gun's about to play. It's so weird seeing them in that setting. But, you know, it's new locations, it's something new, it's a tropical planet. We haven't seen much of that, really. We've kind of had Kashyyyk with the beaches, and things like that, but this looks very, very different. Jeddah, although it's on a desert planet, it's like a new city, it's something a bit different. And yeah, like the new creature designs and everything like that, just when you think they've done it all in Star Wars, like they can't possibly do any more, you get that weird little mole man guy on the gun turret just laughing, and they brought him out as well. That's on day 2 of Celebration. If you watch our video on that, Tom got to see that. It was like the aliens, monsters, and droids or something of Force Awakens, but they brought him out from Rogue One. It was a guy in costume with the animatronic mask, and it looks great. And just the level of detail and the complexity and the filmmaking and all the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes into these films is just ridiculous, just conceptual, from like all the alien design to the people that make it, the puppeteers and everything like that. When we see the film, we just take that for granted, but there is so much work that goes on behind the scenes, and you can see that with all of these aliens. The one I'm most looking forward to seeing, and one I'd absolutely love a toy of, it's not a Wampa, but it kind of looks like it. It's like the big long-haired yak-looking thing almost, with like white fur. That looks awesome. Just new aliens, new stuff to the Star Wars franchise. This one is very much tethered to the old because it happens right before A New Hope, so it has to look like that. And I've mentioned before on some of my trailer reactions how it does have that 70s quality to it in the costumes and the way things look, which is really cool. The only thing that's kind of a continuity thing, but that's unavoidable because they do have to bring out new troops and new armor and things like that for toys. But with like the new Shore Troopers and the Shock Troopers or Death Troopers or whatever they're called, why weren't they in the rest of the Star Wars franchise? Like, because this is a prequel to the original trilogy. Things like that you kind of have to let slide a little bit, because let's be honest, the Star Wars franchise, the Star Wars saga, is one of the most convoluted things anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But it's just the level of filmmaking as well, and they always bring this up now. It's like a thing with Disney, with these new Star Wars films, where they always keep harping on that there's not much green screen. And that, I think that's going to continue all the way through, because people are still really bitter about the prequels and how it was the overuse of special effects, which it absolutely was, don't get me wrong. And they keep reminding us that we're using locations as much as possible, we're building things as much as possible. Not to say that there's not going to be effects in there. We see the shot in this where she does that slow-mo wire jump with the blue screen behind her. There is going to be that level of effects work in it still. But film as much of it in reality as you can, because it really does make a difference. And you can kind of see a difference between all of the Star Wars films so far. So the original trilogy have a certain unique visual look to them, as do the prequels, as do these new ones. And that's kind of fascinating to me, especially when you're eventually going to watch them all in sequence and you're going to see what all new filmmakers bring to the table and everything like that. And even Rian Johnson as well, who's directing Episode 8, he made a big thing about the effects work in it as well. He showed a few pictures of on set of Episode 8, not like a really clear look at it, but a few pictures, and they were all in front of a green screen. And he says, don't worry, my film isn't all on green screen, these are just the ones that we could share, because we didn't want to give anything away, and obviously with a green screen you can't give anything away. So yeah, I guess that's all I can say really for this video. Just, I love the dedication that's gone into this film, the passion for filmmaking, and just seeing shots like this, seeing videos like this is great. I know a lot of people don't really like a lot of behind the scenes stuff because it takes away the magic of the film for them, but like they like to see the final project and that's it. I love seeing all this stuff, just how they make the impossible possible, and it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. This is a great video. And I will be happy if I see no more stuff about Rogue One, because that's one thing that I kind of ruined for myself a little bit with Force Awakens. I watched every trailer, every behind the scenes video, every TV spot, and TV spots gave loads away, and it got to a stage where you could kind of piece together about half hour of the film ultimately from all the footage that had been released. So we're probably going to get another trailer for Rogue One close to the time, but I would be happy with just this, because it looks like there's a lot of dedication gone into it and a lot of passion for this one, and I can't wait. This is my most anticipated film of the year, unsurprisingly, as it's a Star Wars movie. But yeah, that'll do it for my reaction to the Rogue One: A Star Wars Story celebration reel. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you thought of the trailer as well. I've also got my reaction for that, so you can check that out. Anything you like about Star Wars, please do drop me a comment, because I could talk Star Wars all day. It's one of my favourite things to do. In terms of what's coming up on the channel, there'll be a lot more movie reviews coming up. We've kind of taken a back seat with those this week because there hasn't really been all that much out. In the later few weeks of August, and I think into September, we're going to get a lot more movies. Plus, Tate's on holiday as well, so he hasn't really been able to jump on videos, but he's back soon, so when that happens, there'll be a lot of stuff happening with the channel. So please do hit that subscribe button, and until the next video, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.